I look rough. Oh well, that's what being in the hospital would do for you. Hey there guys, it's Misty here. Welcome back to another update video. I have no idea what week this is that I'm updating for, but I'll get to that in a minute. So for those of you who are new here, hello, my name is Misty. I've been following a ketogenic low carb high fat diet since March 6, 2017. And I've been documenting it here for YouTube and all the world to see. So I have a two-parter to today's video. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you may have missed that I was in the hospital Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So the first part of this video, I'll talk about kind of how last week went as far as keto, and then the rest of this video, I will talk about the very TMI reason why I'm was in the hospital and why I'm mad about it. And then, yeah, we'll just go back to our normal vlogging schedule. So I am not weighing in this week. I'll talk about why a bit more during the hospital recap thing, but there's really no reason to. I'll be up, I already know, I'll be up probably at least, I would say no more than 5 pounds, but at least a few pounds. So there's just no reason. I already know I'm gonna be up, and I don't need a scale to tell me that I'm up. So last week I did what I was calling kind of a macro reset. So I haven't followed a strict set of macros since probably, I want to say December. I want to say December was the last time I followed a prescribed set of macros. January, I went carnivore and lost a good amount of weight in January. And I've been playing with some sort of that since then. But I decided last week that I was going to go back to tracking macros for at least a week to see if that would help with the issue I've been having with my fasting blood sugars, which have been not stupid high, because to me, stupid high is anything like 300, 400, 500. We're not at that level, but they've been hovering right around 200. I think the lowest my fasting was like 177. So, which is high to me and high to a lot of you. And I was hoping that if I was, I just hoped that following macros would help with those numbers. And unfortunately, it didn't, and it's not going to. And again, I'll talk about that in a minute. So I had decided on Thursday that I'm just gonna go back to carnivore, zero carb, whatever you wanna call it. It will still be low carb, high fat, but it'll also be high protein because I'll be eating basically meat and drinking coffee and drinking water, and that's going to be about it. So I hope that in doing that, not only will the weight start to come down a little bit quicker, then my blood sugars will start to come back down too. I am going to start Trulicity. My doctor prescribed it, and I'm going to go pick it up today and start it today, I hope. I have realized that I am forever going to be dealing with higher blood sugars while I'm on immune suppression therapy. For those of you who don't know, I have myasthenia gravis, autoimmune, neuromuscular junction disorder, and my neurologist doubled my dose at the end of March. And that's kind of when all of the consistently high overnight blood sugars kind of really started happening, like every morning. And I know that whether or not I am showing outward signs of infection, that my white blood count is running high because I had blood work done every 6 hours in the hospital and I wasn't there for an infection. So I spoke with a doctor there, and we are both just in agreement that my numbers are going to be high because of the immune suppression therapy. So for those of you who aren't familiar with how blood glucose works, eating carbohydrates will cause it. Stress will cause it to rise. Not sleeping well can cause it to rise. being sick, having an infection, having a cold, dealing with allergies, like having a scratch. Any of those things can cause your blood sugars to be high. Having too much protein sometimes causes people. It doesn't seem to bother me. Like your body, everybody's body is so different that it takes a while to kind of pinpoint the reasons why your blood sugars are running so high, but there always is an underlying reason. And unfortunately for me, I just have to be realistic and know that my blood sugars are gonna run a little high because of the immune suppression therapies. So my endocrinologist put me on Onglyza. That did nothing. It was like basically just taking a placebo pill. It absolutely didn't do anything. So I don't know that I will be on Trulicity forever, but it is something that I am going to try. Now, I woke up this morning with a fasting blood sugar of 123, and that's because I took too much insulin yesterday. Before I went to bed, I was getting close to 80, and I knew if I didn't eat something overnight that I would be I would have a crash. So I'm at 123 today. I don't know if that will continue or not, but I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the Trulicity and go ahead and start it. So Trulicity is a once weekly injection. It's very similar to Victoza, where it helps you use the insulin that your body produces. Almost all type 2 diabetics have insulin resistance, which means we produce insulin, our body just can't use it, or we make too much of it. Whereas a type 2 or type 1 diabetic, their pancreas doesn't work and they don't produce any insulin. So yeah, so that's the plan with that. I go see my regular doctor, I want to say like May 9th or something like that. So that'll give me a good 3 weeks on it, and we'll see how it goes. So that's really the keto part of this update. I bought some more of those sausages that I love so much. That's what I plan on eating this week. That's really about it. And I also have some cheese, so meat and cheese, and that's what's gonna be my week. So it's gonna be rather boring, but I'm really hoping that since my blood sugars are already low, that we stay this path. And I may wait a few days to start the Trulicity if I see that my blood sugars are still staying where they should be. So we'll see. Okay, from this moment on, I'm gonna be updating you guys on why I was in the hospital. This is gonna be very TMI. I can't believe I'm putting this stuff on the internet, but I've always been as transparent with you guys as I possibly can, and I don't want to not be transparent with you guys on this too. And again, I posted a picture of me smiling in the hospital. I wasn't happy to be there. I'd not had any sleep, so I was basically drunk on being tired. But so yeah, so this has been your warning. You might exit stage left, and I will see you next week. Let me get a drink. Okay, here we go. Last weekend, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, I started experiencing some rectal bleeding. There we go. So I, like many other people, suffer from external hemorrhoids. I've had them for ages. And so I am not a stranger to some spotting from that general area when my hemorrhoids are inflamed. That's not what this was. So on Saturday, I started noticing a little bit of blood. And I think I even mentioned in a couple of vlogs early in the week that I was like, I think I'm on my cycle, or I'm about to start my cycle. And I honestly was having a hard time deciphering where the blood was coming from, which makes me sound like an absolute idiot. But I've been having cramping, which makes sense. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So on Saturday, I started having some spotting. And each day it was getting progressively worse. And by, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday, I realized that this was not a cycle. While I was having cramping, kind of like you would with your uterus, you know, when you're having a period, it was my intestines that were cramping. So on Thursday, the bleeding was so heavy. It's still so heavy. So I knew that I needed to go see a doctor. And so I reached out to my friend Cindy. Thank you, Cindy, so much. She's a nurse. And I said, do I go to Doc in a Box, urgent care, or do I just go ahead and go to the ER? And she suggested the ER. She's like, you'll be there. They'll have all the tests. They can do all the testing they need to. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So Thursday night after dinner, Rob took me to the hospital. We have a hospital literally across the street. And so we went there, and I had a CT scan done. They took blood. The doctor did a 5-second exam, which he made sure to embarrass me about and tell me how it was his least favorite part of his job. Yeah, guy, I'm sorry. You looking at my butt is not something I wanted to have do on a Thursday night either. So flip off. I'm so mad. Anyway, so my CT scan came back fine. The rectal exam, of course, he saw a little bit of blood because, I mean, duh. I just wanted to say at that point, duh. So I spoke with a GI doctor who was on call that night, and he said that they wanted to admit me. He said, number one, I want to keep an eye on your hemoglobin. He said to make sure, he said, because you're talking about a lot of blood. He said, I just want to make sure that you're not losing any. And it wasn't just blood. Like, it was blood and clots, like blood clots. And that's when I really started freaking out. I was like, okay, we're not dealing with just something silly here. We're like, I'm getting really freaked out. So he said, we're going to keep you overnight. He said, in the morning, he said, you'll see another GI doctor, and you will either have a small scope where they can just go in through the lower part of your, intestinal tract and see for something. And he said, if they don't see anything, then we'll do the protocol for you to have a colonoscopy on Saturday. And I said, okay. I agreed. So got admitted Thursday night. I didn't sleep at all. Who sleeps in a hospital? But they couldn't figure out how to turn the light off in the room. And then my nurse was she, bless her heart. So when I woke up the next day, I was put on a liquid diet, and which was fine. And I noticed though that the kitchen was sending me things that weren't sugar-free. And I kept saying, I don't think this stuff is sugar-free. I don't think this is sugar-free. It tastes way too sweet to be sugar-free. Everybody's like, oh no, it's sugar-free, it's sugar-free. Well, they started giving me insulin. I was so mad. I was like, so we're gonna ignore the problem of them sending me stuff with high sugar, but you're just gonna continue giving me insulin. So that's probably the number one reason why I'm not gonna weigh, because they keep giving me insulin. The second reason I'm not gonna weigh is because they had to take me off meloxicam. I didn't know until Thursday night that meloxicam is a derivative of aspirin, which makes sense because it's anti-inflammatory. So aspirin causes bleeding. So I can't take my meloxicam until we figure out what's causing the bleeding. Meloxicam is the only thing that keeps me from having joint swelling, inflammation, and pain. So, if I miss 1 or 2 doses, I know it, and I am in a lot of pain. My joints are swollen. I have severe arthritis up and down my body. So it's been rough. It's been really rough. So I'm swollen. I've had insulin, which makes you gain weight. So it's like, I'm not even gonna bother getting on the scale. So anyway, all day Friday, I'm waiting for the GI doctor, and I'm waiting for the GI doctor. Well, come to find out, this hospital used to be doctor owned. And then one of the large Texas hospital conglomerates came and bought it. So on Thursday night at midnight, all of the current doctors, their contracts expired. And a brand new set of doctors started on Friday. So nobody knew who the crap I was supposed to see on Friday. Nobody knew. The new doctor didn't know. The nurse didn't know. No one knew who was supposed to come see me on Friday, and no one ever showed up. Oh, there's a Roxy kitty. She's like, Roxy. Hi, Mama. What are you doing? So anyway, I was so mad. Rob was so mad. But he doesn't deal well with me being in the hospital anyway. So that night, you know, they were like, we're gonna put you in PO. And if you don't know what that means, it means no water, no food, nothing, because they're preparing you to have a surgery. And so a colonoscopy isn't a surgery, but they put you under. And I'm like, Rob's like, did they give you the stuff to drink? I was like, no. I was like, so how am I gonna have a colonoscopy tomorrow? But you guys have put me in PO. So by noon on Saturday, I still hadn't seen anybody, and nobody knew who the GI doctor was supposed to be again. And I was like, I want to go home. I was like, I want to go home. By this time, I was hangry because I hadn't had anything to eat. I was mad because I spent an entire day eating stuff that wasn't diabetic friendly as a diabetic. I was mad because the doctor never bothered to show up to see me when they should have. And I started asking to be sent home on Friday night. So when the doctor came by on Saturday, I was like, I want to go home. I said, obviously no one's gonna show up. I said, obviously nothing's gonna happen. I said, so basically I've been here 2 nights just to bleed in the bed and watch TV. And I said, I can do that at home and be comfortable about it. So he said, you know, I'm gonna have the nurse page one more time. And I said, okay. And again, this was noon. I said, that's fine. He's like, if no one shows up, you know, we'll give you a bite to eat and we'll send you home. Okay, perfect. So the nurse comes by about 1:45 and she's like, okay, I'm gonna check on everybody, then I'm gonna page the GI doctor again. This was almost 2 hours later. And I was just like, you haven't paged him yet? That was 2 hours ago. It's like, oh, I just wanna go home. So finally he shows up. He's in a pissy ass mood. He's in a t-shirt and jeans, and I can tell that he's either been on the lake or he's been enjoying his day off, and he was not happy to see me. He was not happy to be there. He basically said, why were you admitted? And I had to go through the spiel. He didn't look at my chart. He didn't look at my blood work. He didn't look at, he's like, well, I haven't looked at anything, clearly. And he was like, this is stuff we normally handle in the office. And I said, okay. I said, but all I know is that I'm on immune suppression therapy, and I've been bleeding a lot out of a place where I know you're not supposed to bleed at all, let alone a lot. And I said, so I came to emergency room. I said, it's not my fault they admitted me. I was like, I was expecting to see somebody yesterday for scope. So he said, you know, do you have a person? And I said, yeah, I had a colonoscopy a few years ago. Or he said, well, you haven't had a colonoscopy before. I said, yeah, I did. I said, I had one like 5 or 6 years ago. And he said, well, can you see that doctor again? I said, yeah. He's like, do you want to go home? I said, yes. I said, if you guys aren't going to do anything, I was like, send me home. You're basically charging me to lie in a bed and bleed and be disturbed. So he sent me home. That was like at 3 o'clock. I finally got to leave like at 5. And poor Rob, I called him and said, okay, come bust me out. And we sat there, and we sat there, and we sat there. And he needed to make a quick trip to Tom Thumb. So I said, why don't you run to Tom Thumb, and then I'll call you. The minute he got to the car, the nurse came in, and she was like, okay, it's time to go. So luckily, he hadn't gone too far, and he turned around and he came and took me home. So I have to follow up with that other doctor today. I am filming this like at 8:30 in the morning. So I'm gonna call them and hope to God that I can get an appointment this week. It's just been really, really scary and really, really irritating. So like I said, unfortunately that hospital is convenient, but that's the third time I've had to stay overnight, and that's the third time I've had really bad care. The nurses were good. It's the rest of it that's been bullshit. And I was so sad to even go to the hospital because it had been 1 year and 9 months since I'd been in the hospital. And before that, every year for like 3 years in a row, in September, something happened and I ended up in the hospital. Well, 1 year I fell out of the shower and almost broke my elbow. 1 year I had a staph infection. 1 year I had my gallbladder out. So it was like boom, boom, boom. And so I'd gone 1 year and 9 months without having to going into the hospital. And here I was admitted and they didn't do a damn thing. So I told Rob, I said, next time we're gonna go to Presby. I was like, I don't care that it's not close by. I said, I realize it's more inconvenient. I said, I will just make sure I pack a bag with everything that I may or may not need. That way, if they choose to admit me, I'll have everything with me and you don't have to make the trip back and forth. I said, but I'll be damned if I come back to this hospital. So I'm just, we still don't know what the hell is wrong with me. That GI doctor seems to think that I may have a tear, or I think he said a fissure. I don't know. So yeah. I'm like, is there not a pill you guys can give me to help? And he's like, no, unfortunately not. I'm like, great. So if I were a betting person, if I saw the doctor anytime this week, I'm going to guess he's going to put me on colonoscopy protocol for the weekend. My birthday weekend, by the way. Turned 40 on Sunday. And then Monday morning, I'll have a colonoscopy. If I were a betting woman, that's what I think might happen. So I don't know. Who knows? My hemoglobin stayed where it should be, my red blood cells. My white blood count was elevated. I told Rob, I was like, I said, I hope to God I don't catch something else from being here. So hopefully I don't. Like I said, I went off playing on Saturday. I was so mad and so hungry. I was like, I just want a sandwich and just give me something that was really quick and easy to eat. And I said, and I want cake. So I had a piece of cake. So, and I don't apologize for it. You know, I don't apologize for it. I don't feel guilty about it. You know, I'm starting right back up today. So yeah, and I mentioned that if you guys want to be judgy about that, whatever, feel free to keep your comments to yourself. I don't want to hear it. Go comment on somebody else's cheat meal if you want to, and leave me alone. I don't mean to be a bitch, but I'm not kidding. Like, I don't care. I don't care. You know I share what I do, but sometimes a person needs to just eat whatever the fuck they want to, and I took that opportunity. So yeah. So, but like I mentioned, I'm back on it this week. If I happen to get to do anything for my birthday, we'll have some, Rob has some gift certificates to like Saltgrass that we can use. We can go to like a Brazilian steakhouse, something like that. So that's really it. So that's my update in a nutshell. My goal for this week is just to see if I can keep my blood sugars where they are this morning, 123. I haven't seen that number in forever, and I would like to keep it there. So like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and go get my medication today, because like my Lyric, I need a couple of things. I think I have 3 to pick up. So I'm gonna pick up the Trulicity, and I may or may not start it today. I don't know. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I apologize if I got a little cursy. But yeah, so it was a rough weekend, but I'm looking forward to a better week. I'm gonna call and hopefully I can get in to see either that doctor who I absolutely loved. And what's funny is Facebook shows you that on this day or whatever, and it just showed me like last week a memory of him, because he called me personally with the test results of the colonoscopy and endoscopy personally, and I've never had a doctor, even my own doctor doesn't do that, who I love. But yeah, so anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. I will be vlogging this week, so if you want to keep up with how things are going there, feel free, and I will see you guys next week for a weigh-in and an update. So thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.